So what games do we use to bring people into the hobby? Stick around and find out. Hello!
Welcome to Bad at Board Games.
Well, he's bad at board games.
I am. I'm Brad Blake.
I'm Toph Ferguson.
We're bad at board games, so you don't have to be. Today, we're going to be talking about
our top 10 gateway games.
These are games that we like to bring to the table for anybody new. Like, you get a husband and wife comes over to your house and you want to play a game, and neither one of them have played games, or you get somebody new shows up to your gaming group and you're not sure where they're at on the level of gaming. So let's play a few of these things. These are games that our game group likes. These are games that you can kind of just bring people into the hobby with. So that's been our experience, and these are the ones that we pull out time and time again when there's somebody new at the table.
Yes.
So starting off with number 10. So hold on just a minute. Stick to the end. You'll see our number ones. Stay all the way to the end. And if you're one of the 85% of the people who watch and aren't subscribed, help us out.
You're trying really hard.
I'm begging.
Right
I'm begging. Anyway.
Literally begging.
There we go.
What we have boiled down to.
I'm a beggar.
Brad begging. This is your opportunity to dictate what you want him to do in order to be able to get your subscription to the channel.
Subscribe and comment down below.
and Brad will do whatever it is that you say.
I don't know about that.
No, I don't know. We'll see how much sway they actually have. You want to talk about board games?
You work at a college.
I do work at a college.
Isn't like streaking anything at your college?
I am not streaking, and no offense, I don't want to see him streaking either. So let's not put that in the comment, please. Why'd you go to that? You're old. Like, the college kids don't do that anymore.
I don't know.
At least, I don't know. I don't
didn't
stick
do it
around
when I was
in college
either, but that just was funny.
Uh-huh.
Anyway, did you laugh? That's all that matters.
People talk about what it is they know, so apparently you did.
No. Anyway, let's get to our number 10s. You can go first.
I'll be happy to go first. So my number 10, if I am bringing people either into the hobby
game.
What's that?
This is a horrible game. Oh, you haven't said it yet.
I haven't said it yet.
Oh, I'll wait.
Look at him. Always cuts me off. He's bad at conversations, too. Welcome to Bad at Board Games, y'all. So my number 10 actually is a game that I have used to bring family, maybe not so much into the hobby, but into more of the hobby board games. We are a family. If you've watched the channel, you've heard me say this. We're a family that plays games all the time. But this is bringing them into the board gaming arena, and that was Space Base. Space Base is a great game where you are building out a tableau, you are upgrading cards, you are able to actually play on other people's turns, which is fun. I know that's something that you like to do, talk over people. I mean, play while other people are playing as well. And so Space Base is a good game that it's not overly complex. People aren't going to be overly stressed out by it, but hopefully the experience you have is the same that we have experienced, and that is people really enjoying a fun game.
If you want to see one of my first videos, click up here and you can see how bad they were. I talked about Space Base.
The quality that we continue to stay at.
There you go.
So that's my number 10, Space Base. Brad, what is your number 10?
So my number 10 is King of Tokyo.
Fun game.
Fun game, easy game, good for family, kids, and just kind of getting people in to like play a quick little game. You're going to pretend to be Godzilla, King Kong,
Cyber Bunny.
Yeah, you just get through it. It is just a fun, quick, easy little game to play. So, I mean, and you kind of look at it and you're thinking, oh, this is a kid's game, but kids and adults both enjoy it and sit and laugh around it. So it's a easy little game.
King of the Hill. Gotta love it.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not big on competitive games, but that one's a fun one.
Yeah, that's a good one. So that's my number 10. Short and sweet.
Excellent. My number 9 is going to bring worker placement into the action as well as objective completion, and that is Lords of Waterdeep. So kind of diving into the D&D arena without having to commit to D&D. Lords of Waterdeep is a relatively low complexity game that's going to add quite a bit of things into the arena, but it's not going to be overly complex for new players. So great game to be able to introduce somebody to this, what can be a quite extensive and exhaustive world of worker placement.
It's a very good game. Very good choice for worker placement, especially.
Yeah.
So awesome. So my number 9 I love right now is just hit the shelves, and it's $35, and it's Marvel Zombies. It's a blast.
The Heroes Resistance.
The Heroes Resistance. That's right. So Marvel Zombies, Hero Resistance, you can get it at retail. Amazon just saw Barnes and Noble's like advertising that they can get it. This should even hit Target and Walmart, I believe. So
That'd be awesome.
I think that's the whole point of it, is to like mass get it to those stores. But it's a blast. Like, and anybody that's just kind of sit down, and it's a, it's a low weight, it's a 2, but it's just fun, and then you can play it, and it has scenarios from 20 minutes all the way up to an hour. So you can scale it up, you can make it harder, you can make, just play right out of the book. Fun little game. I really enjoy it. I highly recommend it.
We're not gateway gamers, but we play it a lot.
Yeah. I like that game a lot. So
excellent.
There you go. That's my number 9.
On to number 8.
Number 8.
Number 8 is one of my favorite games of all times. So I love bringing this to new players, and that is Pandemic. So we're jumping into cooperative play with this game.
Yep.
We're also jumping into this idea that the board game is going to destroy you, playing back and fighting against you.
Mm-hmm.
And that is always fun to see the faces light up when all of a sudden somebody realizes that the board game actually can play against you. And that's probably one of the big reasons why I love Pandemic, but it's a great game all the way around.
Yeah, and it's interesting when the first time you learn about co-ops, is like, that's a thing. You're not just always trying to win, right? And card games or everything, it's just you or against everybody. So, getting that first person into there's another way to play games that isn't competitive is pretty cool.
And it's nice that it's like hands on the table. Like,
Mm-hmm.
your cards are out there, and so everybody can kind of play. I mean, it's cooperative. You're going to play with each other, but you can really help a new player along and see them also understand what you're doing. So maybe they get a little bit of that gamer thought as they play.
Yep. My number 8 is Azul. So I think this is a real nice, when you're trying to get from the retail games into something that is still at retail, but is kind of that next level. So I love it at 2 is my favorite, but it plays well all the way up through all the player counts. And it's a fun game. It's, it might outlast its stay, but for that first 10 to 20 plays, getting somebody into the hobby, it's a solid game. It's in nice components, and really is kind of one of those people like see beyond just something like Monopoly in it. It's good quality.
Yeah, and thinking about it now that we're talking about it, it's a good introduction to set collection, which is kind of fun, especially that idea of having to take penalties in order to be able to complete your sets, and then thinking strategically also on what you're going to do with those sets. Actually, that's a great gateway game. Yeah, I didn't think about it. It is a little higher complexity, but at the same time, it's a great gateway.
But it's not hard to learn. I think there's a couple of things that are finicky. I think the rules clarify a little bit better, but it's not a hard game to learn, which makes it an easy gateway game.
Yeah. So. I like it.
What are we on to?
Number 7. Number 7 is going to be similar to my number 10. I actually played it first, and then I played Space Base a little bit later and saw the similarities. That is Machi Koro. This is another great accessible game. You can pick it up at big box retailers. You can buy it online. It is, similar Space Base, where you're going to be working to build out a tableau, and you get to play on other people's turns, which is very good. So you can kind of work together a little bit. Although it is competitive, you can still work together a little bit and help each other out as you learn how to buy cards, how to play a little bit of the luck versus the strategy, and really how you build out a tableau. I think that's the good thing with that game, on being able to help somebody learn how to build an engine and get an engine going. So Machi Koro, if you've not played it, check it out. It is quite a fun game, especially for families.
Very cool. So my next one is a classic, right? It's been around for a while, and it's Carcassonne. You can get this about anywhere. You can get it on your phone. Great on your phone. But I don't know. It's a classic tile laying. You have, your castles and the original meeple, right? Once you start introducing like, hey, this is a meeple, and people are like, oh, that's cool. I want to touch it. I want to play. I'm going to move it around. But
Actually, I agree with that.
Right? It's like, that is cool. It's a little wooden guy, or girl, whatever. But
it's not a thimble, though.
Yeah, exactly. It's not a thimble. It's not a race car. It's not, what was the other one?
A shoe.
A shoe. Yeah, it's not those
Wheelbarrow.
things. So, I don't know. Carcassonne is one of the original Gateway games because it's pretty cool, and there's just something about it, right? It's got that it factor.
That's a good one.
But yeah, I know that probably should be like number 1, number 2, but this is my list.
No one says you have to be right.
Yes.
So moving on to number 6. My number 6 is a fun little game that always gets us laughing and fighting and arguing in a good way. And that is Evolution: The Beginning. So not Evolution, but Evolution: The Beginning. It's not a heavily complex game, but you get to learn how to upgrade things.
And eat other people.
Yeah. You get to learn how to, again, going back to set collection and building up your dinosaurs, which are going to go out and literally eat other people or eat plants. But of course, Brad's overly complex and wants to fight everybody, so he's going to just build.
Flying carnivore.
Yeah. Just build a dragon. Why don't you build a dragon?
That's my favorite combination.
Fun game. It teaches a little bit of tactical play because you have to learn how to defend against the carnivores. And so you have to learn how to, okay, what is it that I can build up my defense with? And so it's a fun game. We've enjoyed it. Your wife enjoyed it. I've played it with a bunch of friends. Some enjoy it, some do not.
She enjoyed it until I ate her.
That's usually how it turns out. So
she loved this little animal, and I went over and took it away from her.
One of my dear friends, we play this game, and we've played it so many times now, but we play this game, and we got into this routine for some reason of blaming her for everybody else killing everybody else, and now Sierra hates this game. She does nothing. She's the most peaceful person I have ever met. Is never going to fight against somebody. And the rest of us at the table just started fighting and eating each other. And she just sat aside and did her own thing. But for some reason, we all blamed her. And now it's her fault why the rest of us all died. And so, so she doesn't like it so much. But it's a great gateway game. It's a fun game to be able to play.
There you go. So my number 6, everybody else say should be number 1. And by quantity of games sold, they're absolutely right. It's Catan. So it's just not what I use typically as my go-to to get somebody into the game. So if you're talking about people who haven't played board games that I want to have a board game night, I'm not pulling out Catan. But Catan, as far as people who play board games, like board games, and then you want to get them addicted into the hobby, I think Catan is one of the funnels you're going to go through.
Yeah.
So
I agree with that.
It just is. My son got Catan. Loved Catan. We've got expansions of Catan. At Gen Con, we went to the Catan booth to get more expansions, and then we went to all the Catan sheep that were at Gen Con. And it was 4 years ago, I think. Got pictures with all the sheep that they had all over the place. We did Catan full on. So it is absolutely a funnel into the hobby.
I might have played it once or twice.
Just a couple. Click up here. You can see why he hates the game now. That's an old video too.
Hate's a strong word, but it is very largely written in font across that thumb, right?
But still a great game.
Excellent. So that was number 6. So we're going to enter our top 5 now, right?
5. See what kind of crossovers we have now.
Yes. So my number 5 is Ticket to Ride.
That's a great game.
It is. It's not one that I pull out very often at all, but it is something that I will immediately grab when I am pulling somebody new into the hobby.
And that's a great app. I talk about this a lot, is that there's a few games that I have played on the app, and that one with asynchronous play is just amazing. It's just a fun game, and it's decent AI too. So you can play it solo on the app. And my number 5, as I digress, is Isle of Cats. And this is, like I said, this is my list of games that I use to bring people in. Isle of Cats, people who like cats. It's a little polyomino game, and if they don't understand what that is, it's easy to explain. Cats together, cover up the fish, or the colors
The
are
rats.
the same as the
colors.
So you're trying to match that together, get them all to fit within your boat. Everything looks really pretty, right? The cats are pretty. The board, the ship you're playing on is pretty. It just has a lot of those components, and it's a good quality.
Yeah.
So it's kind of one of these things where people start to look at it and like, wow, this isn't look like anything I've grew up with when you're talking about Sorry and a lot of other cardboard ones. It's a beautiful looking set and a game. And you got 2 modes to it. You can start out with the family mode, and they can get them into the gamer mode of it, and they start to realize there's more complexity to things as well.
Yeah,
So it
that's
has
one
that
of the things I
twofold.
like about it.
Yeah.
I do think that's a fantastic, option to not have to change things up completely. I don't really have that with my list so much. I would have to change to a different game, and with that, if they like the family version, it's easy to be like, hey, let's up the
Add a little
complexity
complexity,
a little bit.
yeah. And I think that's the only one on my list that does that too. So it does make it versatile in that way.
Yeah,
So that's my number 5.
Awesome. Number 4. Number 4 for me is probably the quintessential deck builder game, and that is Dominion. Dominion's a fun game. It plays pretty quickly, which is nice. Now, you can get the 15,000 expansions that they have for it. That's going to add complexity and things into it. But even just the basic game, or if you end up with the big box, the basic game plus Intrigue, the first main expansion with it, that's going to add so much into the game. It's a great way to be able to explain this concept to somebody of what a deck builder is and why you want to curate a deck for you to be able to play the game and eventually win the game. So if you've played Dominion, you know exactly what we mean by it. I know a lot of people kind of have played it and are done with it. And then there's the diehards. They're going to play it all the time. I'm kind of in the middle with that. I think it is a very fun game for a gamer. And I think it is a very accessible game for someone that is maybe trying to get into the hobby.
Yeah. And it's weird because I had this issue too, is the whole discarding all your cards at once. That's a real foreign concept to people. It was a foreign concept to me. I'm like, I don't understand deck building. And then it's like reading the rule. I'm like, I don't understand. I'm taking all these cards that I do or don't use, and I put it away and I get a. So it is, you take it for granted, but when you're one of those that like, what is this?
Yeah.
It's unique. And then it just opens up a massive mechanic across the whole hobby after that.
Yeah. So. Not my favorite mechanic, but it's right up there with, maybe not quite as close. I think we all understand my favorite mechanic is going to be a worker placement. Yeah, but deck builder is up there. I have enjoyed every deck builder I've ever played thoroughly.
But it's always it's sprinkled in so many mechanics now. It's really well done. Yeah. So my number 4 is Welcome To, and just the Welcome to My Neighborhood, not Welcome to the Moon. I actually like Welcome to My Neighborhood better. It's just simple, and getting people to understand that, you can put whatever numbers, in order and put a fence, and, it takes a little bit, but, once they grasp it, then it's like, oh, this is neat. This is interesting, and it's just this, it's not too complex. You've got a bunch of paper and you're writing, you actually get to write down. So it's got that tactile, gaming piece to it. So I have pulled that out when I'm trying to get people into that. I may have picked something a little bit easier, but this is definitely one of those gateway games. And I'm like, hey, games can do this, and get people to explore beyond something new.
Yeah, and I think one thing I like about Welcome To is that you don't have to go over some of the more, you don't have to play some of the more complex things that's down towards the bottom.
Right.
There's a couple of things that do get into a little bit of complexity with it, but if you just focus on, building out your neighborhood at the top, and maybe doing a little bit at the bottom, it makes it so that you can pretty quickly jump into kind of learning this idea between flipping right or rolling right, which is kind of, I think, more of an up and coming thing with the hobby. Definitely wasn't there 20 years ago as the same way it is now. But then you also, you get this idea of tactical play. I go back to tactical a lot, but tactical play of, what am I going to do? I have to deal with this number here. And then, the next time you go sit down and play flipper right, you pull out Hadrian's Wall.
I love that game.
Definitely not a gateway.
Love that game. Yeah, it's still not a gateway.
No. Welcome To, good selection. I agree. Yeah.
Number 3 for you.
My number 3 is actually going to be a crossover with Brad. And it is probably one of my favorite tile placement games, and that's Carcassonne. So we've talked about it already. Such a great game to sit down and say, let's build out this map on the table. There's a way that you can sit down and just say, we're going to play it at the beginner level and just, put out your cities and put out your roads and be done with it. And then you can add in the farmer as part of that base game. And then depending on which expansions, again, there's 50 million of them that you can pick up. You know, you can start to add in some more complexity as you play, but you don't have to start that way. You can start with this almost chill, not overly competitive tile placement game. It's a lot of fun. Yeah.
A little competitive though.
There's definitely a competitive part to it, but it's not anything that's going to be. You're not knocking people out of the game.
Oh no,
and
no,
you're
it's not player elimination or doing anything crazy like that.
And you can really, and especially for new players, like I would never want to sit down and try to jump into somebody else's city to steal their city away from them if it's a new player.
Right.
If it's Brad and I, yes, but you know, with new players, I'm not gonna play that way. I'm not Brad. So
I wouldn't do that to somebody new either. I want them to have fun. So for the record,
noted. So that was my number 3. Brad, what's your number 3?
My number 3, and we're getting to my top 3. I pull out a lot for new players. This one I did with Space Base, and you want to see another old video? Click up here. It's one of my first ones, and I love it because everybody's involved. So it's not cooperative, but it is this. And so cooperative, you have to worry about the alpha gamer, and then other games you have to worry about. Well, I enjoy my turn, but I'm bored until it comes back to my turn. So this plays 5 players, and you're always interested in what the other person rolls because you get to do something. Those games that allow you to constantly be involved, I think it's great because of that. And because of that, it doesn't play very long, and it's pretty easy to learn. I do thrust that onto people to try to get them into the game, because of those things. That's why it's one of my top gateway games.
That's a good one. It's a good one. Also, on
you
my
bought
list.
it after I taught it to you, even though you're a big game. And that's the thing. He's hugely into games, and before I kind of knew him, we were pulling this out for everybody, and he liked it so much he went out and bought it.
Yeah.
So,
and I've played it with family and other friends, and it's a good one. It's a good one.
There.
I definitely learned that one from you, so that's
yeah.
That was such a long time ago. Gosh,
Feels like it. It's like a year.
Feels like it's been 50 years. Look at how much gray I've gotten over the course of the year of dealing with.
I make him feel young.
Only Brett. Yeah, well, he's ancient. That's why. So, how about we go on to our number 2 spots? You okay with that?
I'm okay with that.
I mean, we can still talk about how you're old, but
keep moving.
Okay, fine.
You can talk about your number 2 now.
My number 2 is another one of my absolute favorite games. We don't play this. I don't know if we have ever played it together, but we both own it.
Yeah.
This is another cooperative game, slightly less complex than Pandemic, and that is Forbidden Island. Forbidden Island is kind of a fun fantasy theme. I think that's one of the things that I like about it is it's far enough away from, well, the fact that we live in the middle of a pandemic, and pandemic might be too soon. But it's this fantasy life. You're kind of coming into this game saying we have an objective. It's not overly complex. The game is going to fight against us, but we just have to get these 4 artifacts and get off this island. And so you're bringing in that idea of different roles, special abilities, but it's just minor. They only have 1. It's not like Pandemic where you might have a couple extra special powers for your person. It's stressful enough, I think, to be able to give somebody that feel of the board fighting against you, but it's not quite the epidemic cards that are coming out with Pandemic. And so that's why I think this one definitely goes higher on my list of cooperative games. I have pulled this out to teach a lot of people. This is one of probably my most played gateway games with non-gamers.
Yeah.
Which obviously is why it's up at the top of my list. But yeah, I have thoroughly enjoyed it, and I've thoroughly enjoyed people watching them play this game. They don't get quite the aha at the board playing against you, I don't think, with Pandemic. I've seen larger frustrations, like we want to flip the table because we're all going to die here soon. But with this one, you get that stress level of waters are rising. What are we going to do? Now you're stuck in the water. Are you going to swim? Can you swim? There's some fun parts with it. So that is Forbidden Island.
Very cool. So my other one, this came out this year, beginning of this year, actually, is Long Shot. But
the dice game.
I'm sorry. Long Shot, the dice game. Small box, nice little components. You can pick it up at Barnes and Noble. Plays up to 8 players, which is awesome. So if you got more people, and it's like and getting everybody like yelling at their horse, or like you can make somebody else's horse go backwards or make yours go forward more, or all these things that you can do. It's you get this energy around the table, and it hasn't missed.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
I think that's one of the reasons it doesn't. I've had it take a little bit longer than I thought to teach once out of all the times I've taught it, but everybody, it hasn't missed.
Yeah.
Space can miss with some people, but I haven't had a miss yet on long shot. So that's kind of why it's my number 2. It's just fun. It really is a fun filler game.
Yeah, it's almost on the verge of a party game, especially because
it plays 8 people.
And because you bicker and you laugh and everybody's loud, and I think you kind of get the feel of like horse bidding. I've never been to a race to know what it's like, but all my money goes into board games, so I'm not going to go betting on a horse.
You're definitely invested.
You are.
You really want your horse to win, or like you get locked into a horse, and.
But it's the gamer side of it. It's fun.
Yeah,
it's a fun game.
That's my number 2.
Excellent. My number 1.
Dun, dun, dun.
Are you ready for this? Yeah, this is the classic example of a gateway game, but it has to be at the top of my list because I have played this game hundreds of times over the last 20 years. It's a game that I don't like to necessarily pull out anymore, but I will if it is somebody who is kind of new getting into the hobby. And that is probably one of the most highest sold hobby board games that exists, the one and only Settlers of Catan. And I'm going to use the full name because I own Settlers of Catan, not the newer version of it. I'm old. I have the old school version with all the expansions and all that kind of stuff. It's the old stuff. So it's the Settlers of Catan, but it's just a great way to introduce lightweight play across a range of different things. Your route building. It's probably the best resource management game that I've got on my list, and that's going to play very big into a lot of things. But you're learning how to build out onto a map, which is such a different feel than the traditional games where you're going around a board. Now you're going into the board and you're building into it, and you got a little bit of take that with it. You've got some other things to build in, but man, the set collection on that is just setting you up for so many future games. Yep. So not the one that I normally pick up. You can go back and look at why I hate that game. I don't hate it. I absolutely love it. I just never want to play it again in my life. Because I've played it hundreds of times and I'm kind of over it, but fantastic gateway game.
So we got like 10 people show up upstairs, so we need to wrap this up. My number 1 is Super Mega Lucky Box. It's Gamers Bingo, and my dogs are now going to start barking. So, it's great. I don't know what to say about it. It's cheap. You can get it for $12. Anyway.
The dogs love it. The dogs absolutely love.
Absolutely hear what's
Super
going
Mega
on.
Lucky Box.
So I won't go into a lot of detail. If you want to look, I'll put something down in the links. It's been on a lot of my list. It's been great for Christmas, great for other things. I pull this out when I'm really all the time.
Yeah.
And it will get old after a while, but like 30, 40, 50 plays in, that'll be when it gets old.
But then you don't play it for a couple months and you pick it back up and everybody absolutely loves it.
It's an easy one to manage. So sorry for all the noise right here at the end. Just remember, no matter how you're playing, whether it's solo, family, or friends,
enjoy whatever games you're bringing to the table.
Have a great night.